Seriously? I'm just wondering the challenges of preparing for Carolina. I know they've had one game and some exhibition games. What stands out about them? What challenges they present? And are you guys? Is this something you get? Every game is important, but is this something you get excited about doing, going out there and playing in that venue?
Oh yeah, I've never been to Chapel Hill to play, so I am personally excited. I know the players are and will be a lot more as we get closer. But I'm excited about it. You know, I've seen, and we've seen, you know, the exhibition and obviously the game against Central Arkansas, and you know they got a pretty impressive freshman too, and they're big. They're always great on the glass. They're always great in transition, and they're skilled on the perimeter and make shots, and certainly, you know, and playing, you know, at their place in front of 21 or 22, whatever the number is, will be a tough challenge, but one that we need to go through to kind of see where we're at and hopefully learn from.
First time KU as a program even has played in Chapel Hill. What kind of value do these marquee home and homes provide in this era of college basketball specifically?
Well, I think anything to promote our sport at a time when football is at its peak, in my opinion, collegiately, with the championship, with the BCS championship and 12 teams making it. So many great things that football has done to keep the interest longer and peak interest right when we're starting. So I think these are the type of games that we have to play, need to play for our sport to at least split a little bit of the attention. And now granted, all eyes that are college athletics fans aren't going to be on men's basketball in the way they're going to be on it in February and March, obviously, in early April. But we got to keep the interest. And this is the way you do it, in my opinion, is play these marquee matchups.
But when you were young, kid,
Hold on. Did you say when?
yeah, well, you're still young.
Okay,
But
okay.
you know,
You said when.
I said a
Sound
kid.
like-
I said a
okay,
kid.
okay.
You know, when you were young though, you spent so much of your life in Kansas, Oklahoma, even Illinois, right? Like when you were a kid growing up, what did you think about Carolina? Did you know the program? Did you know?
Oh
it
yeah.
existed?
Well, personally, I've always kind of studied the sport in a way that's probably a little bit more intent and different than the way most kids my age did.
Sure.
So I wasn't as aware about Kansas and the history, but I knew that, you know, Coach Smith played at Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that, and you know, I've known there's been times in Carolina where, you know, they've had you know, 10, 11 pros on one team. And I've always been so impressed. I always thought Coach Smith was one of the most innovative, and I think it's you know, thought by everybody, one of the most innovative coaches our sport is known, in that people copied what they did. And then of course, Coach Williams-Roy, you know, obviously continued that and actually did a lot of the same things they did at Carolina, at Kansas, at times even better.
Yeah.
Than the past, and then him going back to Carolina, you know, they won 3. So it's an impressive situation, but it means more to us and to them probably because our programs are so entwined. And do you really is Carolina really Carolina without Kansas, and is Kansas really Kansas without Carolina? And the answer is no. So I mean, we can. You can debate that, but that's a fact.
Sure.
So I do think it brings more attention to this matchup.
What was it? I mean, you know, no internet, games weren't on your phone, games weren't on TV. Was it as easy to get a feel for what North Carolina basketball was when you were, you know, in college even?
Well, you know, what was it? Indiana and Carolina in the national championship game in '81.
Yeah.
Was it? Alwood, if I'm not mistaken, and certainly, you know, the team that they had that won it in '82. No, was it Carolina and Isaiah won it? Didn't they beat Carolina in the finals? I think. And then the year that they won it when Michael and
83. Or no, 82,
and James and
Right.
Sam and all that stuff was on that team. I watched that, studied it in large part because that was my era when I was in college. So it's been pretty impressive. You know, as good as Carolina's been over time, when you're that good year in and year out over time, you know, they were one of the 5 favorites to win a national championship most every year. And we know as well as anybody that there's a lot of good fortune that goes into actually winning that last game and advancing. But the consistency that they've shown over time to me is, you know, there's obviously a lot of great programs out there, but when you talk about blue bloods and you're talking about, you know, Kentucky and Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Indiana, you know, you're talking about the winningest programs ever. St. John's, certainly, you know, nobody can claim more history to our sport than what the aforementioned schools I just talked about.
Does that resonate with your guys? What do your players think going into this one?
Well, they'll be excited to play, and they'll think Carolina, but they're not going to think Carolina the way I think Carolina. When I think Carolina, I'm thinking historical.
Right.
They're going to think Carolina as in this team or this
Wilson.
moment.
Yeah.
So,
Do you look back much at last year's game at all, or is that too far in the past to think much about it?
I've watched it. I think we can look back and see how individuals for them played and how downhill Trimble was and a lot of different things like that. But the reality of it is they have a different team. We have a different team. So I doubt the way they try to play against us may be consistent in theory, but personnel and tweaking, I don't think they'll look like the same team that they had last year, just like I don't think we will either.
You've talked about wanting your guys to play to their size in the front court. How important is that going to be against this Carolina team?
Well, I think it's going to be very important. Caleb's probably off to as good a start as any freshman in the country. And he's, you know, I watched him the other night, and Carolina's got 12 points in the first 3 minutes of the game, and he's already got 4 dunks, you know, or whatever. It's impressive. And obviously their post guy, you know, he played well against us last year, you know, at Arizona, and in the Big 12 tournament game especially, and made some key plays. And then, you know, they got transfers and they're new. And I would think Hubert, I can't speak for Hubert, but I would think there's an element of excitement in their camp just because it is new and fresh and exciting. And I think that's kind of what we have too. So I see 2 similar teams that probably both don't know really how good we are yet, but both have a chance to be really good.
When it comes to Darren and the cramping that's come up, how long has this been something that he's dealt with? Did you see it from him in high school? And,
No.
and how concerning is that?
It's concerning because, you know, we're not going to be near as effective, him playing, you know, 16 minutes a game, you know, but it's something that we don't anticipate being anything that lasts. But, you know, we're taking it serious and feel like that we're in better shape than we were obviously a week ago.
Just to go off that, obviously Friday could be a game where you might need to play extended minutes. Is he feeling any better?
I mean, to play what?
Maybe more minutes than.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's averaged 23.
Yeah, but there's not real minutes.
Right.
He played 14 minutes against Louisville and played 16 minutes the other night because second half, you know, he wasn't effective coming out. So to your point, extended minutes would be more than that. I'm seeing as extended minutes being in that 32 to 35 range. Yeah.
And with Cole, obviously I know his shot's not falling right now, but he's rebounding and keeping balls alive. Do you like what you've seen with him? I mean, do you worry about him maybe forcing things, or is he not maybe there yet?
I like his aggressiveness. I love him as a player. I think he's, he tries really hard. He competes. He wants to get better. The ball's not going in the hole like it was earlier, in large part because I think he's too amped up and too excited, and he probably needs to, slow down a little bit. I think he's playing sped up, and when you play sped up, obviously you don't shoot it as well. But he will. I mean, don't you anticipate all guys first time the lights come on being in that situation for the most part, unless your name's Peterson. So.
Was he able to go today, and is he frustrated at all?
Yeah, Darren practiced today. I didn't sense frustration on his face or anything, but yes, he practiced today. And last night too.
So it's looking a lot better since the game.
As far as him being out there, well, he was out there in the game. I can't predict what's going to happen after he goes extended period of time or whatnot. But he's been out there, so haven't seen any issues.
What do you think of them adding an international player this week?
Yeah, I don't know the exact reasons for that. It was NCAA eligible, but Carolina had declaring. Was that? Am I right on that? But he's an impressive guy. He comes in right off the bat and he doesn't hesitate. And he's pulling it from deep, and obviously he's a guy that can stretch it and also very skilled. So that'll certainly make their team better.
When Roy was their coach, did you guys ever discuss a home and home?
No. I don't know that would have been the right thing to do anyway. It would suck for him, and it would suck for me. So if that's the case, then probably not a great combination. It's not really home and home. But I do think, it's different with Hubert, and I think the fact that we met up a couple of years ago in a big game, I think adds to it a little bit because that was a coin flip game, as everybody knows, and so that it certainly maybe adds to the intrigue of the game.
Could you envision continuing more home and homes with them?
I would love to. We've talked about that. I think that would be great, but it's also got to fit for them. How many games is the Big 12 going to play in league next year? I know our league, but I don't know how many the ACC plays. And you have all the other games, and you got the players there, and you got so many different things going on that the true home and homes are important for our sport. But you can't play them all. You can't play many of them if, in fact, your schedule is playing 7, let's say, games already, that only leaves you, 6 games, let's say, to actually schedule on your own. The players there we're scheduling for 4 games next year. And you got the champions, and you got the other things going on, and you got the Missouri series, and Connecticut returning. I mean, there's so many different things going on that it kind of limits you. But this would be one that I would love for this to continue, regardless of our scheduling situation.
And is there one, now that you're going to get to go to the Smith Center, is there one arena besides that you're dying to go to?
Dying may be a stretch. We don't say the word dying anymore around. I think we haven't been to Cameron. I've never been to Cameron, and I've never been to Chapel Hill. So those would be 2 bucket list things, and we get to mark one of them off this year, obviously.
Elmarko Jackson had the most minutes out of any non-starter against Green Bay. How are you kind of envisioning his role on this squad, and what are you seeing out of him in terms of a leadership standpoint?
Well, he and Mari and Flo are our most veteran guys, and they're sophomores. So I think he can lead. He's been here for 2 years, even though he's a sophomore, because he had to sit out last year. So he's got a feel on what we're trying to do and accomplish. And he's such a good person, and guys like him, that his voice will carry. And I think he can become a sounder playing, but I think the more sounder he becomes playing, I think that will allow him to be a better leader too. sometimes it's hard to lead if you're, not taking care of the business yourself anyway. But he always does off the court. I'm just talking about execution. So I'm happy with him. Right now, I see him as the first guard off the bench, and I see him, whoever's playing the best stays in the game. So basically a 6-starter type guy.
I think you mentioned it the other night with the freshmen around the country, obviously 2 in this game, a bunch in the league. Is it a cycle thing, or is there something to it? Are you seeing any rhyme or reason to why this freshman class is so powerful?
First of all, I read something the other day. It may be the best freshman class ever.
Yeah.
Do you guys see the same thing? I mean, I don't know if that's true, but it's really strong. I also wondered this, and I haven't thought this through, but with the portal and the circulation and all the things, and the guys obviously, going pro as early as they possibly can, the most talented kids in every class will be your freshmen. The most talented kids. And then I wonder if maybe in the past, the portal kids have been the headliners of recruiting classes, where this year, the freshmen are the headliners of recruiting classes. Now, I didn't mean that you don't have some great portal guys, but I don't think they've gotten the same hype. And so much of how we view things is based on how things start, because it sets the tone for the first part of the season or whatever. And so that's why I think, with the freshmen all performing at such an elite level, all the talk has gone to them naturally, and deservedly so. So whenever you have marquee games and the freshmen are the best player in all those games, obviously that's going to be what's talked about the most.
Just wondering, when you have guys like Darren and Melvin who can get to the basket and score, and how does that maybe make you guys look different? How does that change things for you guys?
Well, I think most teams have that to an extent, but the one thing about it is last year, Juan was our guy. Loved him. But he couldn't be a guy that just breaks people down and go get his own shot. Whereas speed, even Tyshawn, even back in the day, he may not be the guy that we're playing to score the ball, but he's the guy that could force help. And Melvin can certainly do that. And Darren is kind of like what we would probably, if we're comparing going back in a late clock situation, being kind of like the Sharon for us.
Just more on Melvin, his leadership. He looks like he wants that role, taking that role, and also in a game where there's so many 5-stars going at each other, he probably was not the highly recruited guy. And he looks like a guy that likes to play with an edge. Do you see that?
Yes, I do. Dave, I hope that's the case with you. I don't think. I think people will use whatever they can as motivation to try to fire themselves up and raise their own level. There's no question about that. I don't think Melvin looks at it saying, this guy was recruited ahead of me, so therefore that turns me up more to actually go him. He's a guy that went JUCO. Out of high school. It wasn't like he was the 25th guy on a 24-man McDonald's roster. So I don't see it maybe to the extent that the way you described it, but I do see it at the extent of I can play with anybody. And he has been all those things that you just mentioned. He's been a good leader for us, but he also can do a lot of things to become. He's a good leader verbally. He can also do some things more by example too, as far as execution out there.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.
Thank you.